Hi everybody, my name is Winner. Welcome to today's video where we're going to talk about monitoring systems as far as software development and DevOps engineering is concerned. We're going to cover this topic by working through different phases of the software development lifecycle, but we will take this approach by just telling what monitoring is, why monitoring, and how one can implement one of the simplest monitoring systems. Monitoring systems, or let's simply say a monitoring system, is a collection of tools used to analyze the performance and the health of systems and of their component in real time. Monitoring is performed to, ensure system availability, to detect suspicious behaviors like unauthorized access or resource exhaustion, but also to determine root causes of specific incident. Throughout different phases of the software development lifecycle, there are about seven, but one will argue that there are only six. So we're going to go with the second approach, about six phases of the software development lifecycle. Let's start with the planning phase. During the planning process, uh, software developer and other shareholders gather together to generate requirement, functional and non-functional requirement. And these requirements are used to move to the second phase, which is the designing phase. And in here, all party involved work on the architecture, they work on prototype, which will then lead to the building or the development phase. And that's where the product itself is implemented. Moving from the building phase, we have the testing phase where you kind of run unit test and integration tests just to verify that requirements set up earlier are met. Then come the deployment phase, and that's where monitoring come to play a crucial role. During the deployment phase, we have a lot of computing resources involved, from virtual machines to CPU to memory to networking to disk. And the role of monitoring here is to ensure that during the deployment phase or after the deployment phase, all these resources are available enough to accommodate our software application. So we have the deployment phase here, and the last one is the maintenance phase. The maintenance phase. So just a quick recap. Here we work on requirements. The requirements are used to build prototype or come up with architecture. It can be the software architecture itself or the network topologies and everything. These one are used to build the product. Then we move to the test phase, and onto the deployment phase, we now start talking about monitoring. Monitoring can also be a great subject during the planning phase because you have to plan what you need to monitor, what type of metrics need to actually be observed. So just to be more precise, monitoring start from the deployment phase to the maintenance phase if we're talking about practicality. So here we have monitoring. Monitoring. And there are a couple of tools used to actually implement monitoring systems. So far, I've used Prometheus and Grafana, and this is a tool that we're going to use to implement a small project that's going to give us a clear perspective of this whole topic. So let's first cover Prometheus. Prometheus is, it's a scraping tool, which just means that it pulls, let's say it pulls metrics from different targets, and those targets can be servers, they can be any process deployed on a server or any services. So we have your servers, we have a process like, let's say, web application and other services. Let's start with the server. As a DevOps engineer or as a platform engineer or an infrastructure engineer, a site reliability engineer, you want to keep an eye on the servers to have the situation of different computing resources from the CPU to the memory to the disk and so on and so forth, even as far as network traffic is concerned. For example, with the CPU here, you want to make sure that it's not busy enough to, let's say, execute additional instruction. And here, using Prometheus, you can establish rules, or you can use what we call node exporter, which is another Prometheus component or item that you're going to install on a server and have it expose specific metrics through an HTTP endpoint. Here, we can, let's say, establish a rule that will determine a specific threshold. Let's say if you want your CPU utilization not to exceed 50%, if that's the case, you're going to probably trigger an alert that's going to be sent to, let's say, whoever's in charge, or an automated service that will uh, kind of horizontally scale your infrastructure to, let's say, reduce the load or the work of the CPU. If that's not the case, operation is just going to keep running in its normal state. The same thing would be applied to the memory, the disk, and other computing resources. And let's just go through a quick illustration. Suppose we have a server right here. This is our server, our very ugly server. Let's call it app server. And we have another server here that's going to play the role of our monitoring server. And in here, we're going to install Prometheus. And we can just call it monitoring server. Monitoring server, and it's going to run Prometheus. Going to run Prometheus. On the other side, on the app server, we're going to install Node Exporter. Node Exporter. And the role of Node Exporter is to scrape or to expose metrics related to the server, to the machine, through an HTTP endpoint, which could be 192.168. 172 slash, colon, node exporter normally listen to 9090, that's the port, and slash matrix. Through this well-defined HTTP endpoint, Prometheus will be able to pull metrics from our app server. So we're going to have metrics being pulled from our app server, and those metrics are going to be stored into Prometheus database called time series database, or TSDB. It's time series database because Prometheus pulls information at specific time intervals. Initially, or per default, I think it's every 1 minute, but one can always change it. Next, after pulling these metrics, Prometheus can, let's say, generate graph. You have to understand PromQL in order to filter information and generate graph. But there is an alternative, something more human-friendly, called Grafana, which is a visualization tool. So what Grafana does, let me just write it down here. Grafana pulls, or let's say connect to our Prometheus instance and get what is stored into its TSDB database. So it's going to consider the TSDB database as a data source. And based on that, Grafana will help us generate, let's say, beautiful graphs that even non-tech person can understand, read, and, let's say, perform some analysis and deduce conclusions. We have graph here, but also charts. And that's the role of Grafana, to generate charts so that analysis will be handy. The role of Prometheus is to pull metrics and store those metrics into its database. Suppose we want to monitor, to keep an eye on a website or on a web server deployed on a server, on a web application deployed on a server. In this case, we're going to use another Prometheus tool called Blackbox Exporter. Blackbox Exporter. Just like its name says, Blackbox role is to get, let's say, to run tests from a specific application from the outside. Just like black box testing, you actually don't mind about the internal implementation of what you running test against, but only want to know how is it responsive with the outside world. So we're going to, let's say, deploy our web application right here, and Blackbox Exporter will be probing this web application every single second or minute and just deduced are available, or if it's still available or reachable to end user. So there is also a specific HTTP endpoint here, which could be the IP address of the same instance, the app server, 172. Colon, let's say if this specific app server is running and listening to port 3000. So this will be exposed, and Blackbox Exporter will be sending HTTP requests continuously, and just keep an eye on it and detect some sort of, let's say, outage and generate alert. So this will be the logic we're going to follow to implement a simple monitoring system using Prometheus and Grafana. And just a reminder, this help sustain or improve the deployment and maintenance phase so that whatever is being deployed after testing gets to run on the most reliable and the most robust infrastructure and make a customer happy. So let's head straight to the project itself. I'm going to work with two virtual machines running locally. If you want, you can actually deploy or provision your machines using any cloud provider like AWS. I think you have to spend a couple of dollars, but you won't go. It won't cost you more than $1.50. So I'm just going to head to my VMware instance. I don't know why it's taking a long time. Yeah. Anyway, so let's go to the virtual machines. In here, I have two machines. One called App Server. It's got two CPU cores, 2 gig of RAM, and about 60 gig for storage. You can follow the same setups. You don't have to have 60 gig of RAM. You can do it with 20 to 30. But I insist that you should have about two CPU cores and about 4 gig of RAM. The same thing will be applied to the monitoring instance. 2 gig of RAM, I mean 2 CPU cores, 4 gig of RAM, and here I can put like 70 gig for storage. Let's start with the monitoring server. So this is its IP. Every machine is running on my local network, so they can easily discover themselves, and they've been assigned IP addresses by my local internet provider. So I'm going to SSH into this machine here, the monitoring one. Let's say it was what is user Wixel. User Wixel at this was the IP address. Okay, enter. Voila. The first thing we're going to do here is to first update our local package. And then we're going to install Prometheus. So I'm going to the Prometheus website, which is right here, prometheus.io/download. We're going to look for Linux-based machine because I'm running Linux Ubuntu on this 2 VM. Um, I'm looking for Prometheus. I will take the LTS edition because that's the most stable one, and copy the link and come back here and download it right in here. Okay, I have Prometheus. You can even see here, but it's zipped. I have to unzip it. Well, after unzipping it, I will just get rid of the zip file since I no longer need it. So I'm just going to hire and remove this file here, and I'm going to access it into the unzip folder. So we are into our Prometheus downloaded folder. We have this Prometheus executable, but also the Prometheus YAML file. Let's just inspect this Prometheus YAML file. As you can see here, at the global section, we have script interval. It's set to 15 seconds. So that means that Prometheus will be scraping or pulling metrics from a target device every 15 seconds, but the default one is 1 minute. Next, we have the alerting session where we actually need to install Alert Manager, but this is a story of another day. Alert Manager is just a tool that lets you send alert to whoever's in charge, to to every stakeholders of the monitoring system. You can send it to a software engineer, a DevOps engineer, a platform engineer, or even to let's say automated service that will analyze it and scale it horizontally, scale the infrastructure, of course. Then we have the rule file, and that's where you define metrics rules just to establish specific threshold. Let's say if you don't want your CPU to exceed 50% of usage, or you want the CPU pressure to stay below a certain threshold. So you will define those rules in into a file outside of probably in the same folder and link it right here. Then we have the most important part for this video is the scrape configs. Here we have different jobs. You can say here the first one is the Prometheus job, which just point at the Prometheus server itself. It's just to mean that Prometheus will be monitoring metrics on itself. So we have here the static configs, and in the target we have localhost 9090. We're going to add more jobs related to Node Exporter since we want to monitor the health and the performance of the app server. I'm going to add it below, but also going to add a job concerning Blackbox Exporter in order to monitor or to probe the website or the web application that we're going to install on the app server. So I'm just going to run Prometheus by running its executable, this file here. So I will run it, Prometheus. As you see here, it's listening to port 9090. So I'm going to head back to my navigator. It's 192. I think the IP address of that instance was 178 and 9090. As you can see, we are into our Prometheus instance. I'm gonna click here status, go to target. So far, we have only one target. It's Prometheus server itself. It's up, and the last scrape was 12 minutes ago. Let's associate into the second machine, the app server. I'm going to grab this IP address here and just SSH into this machine at IP address. Okay, I'm gonna clear everything and run sudo apt update. Normally, it's good practice to just run a script that will automate everything, but I want us to go through all the phases so that we can have a better grasp of what monitoring, of what is like to set up a monitoring system. So apt update, I will head back to my navigator and take the link that will help us download Node Exporter. So we roll down here, still in the same website here, and go down to Node Exporter. I will copy this link, head back to my terminal, and download it here. Okay, as you can see, we have Node Exporter. It is zipped. I'm going to unzip it. Node Exporter. Okay, I'm going to navigate into the folder. We have a binary or an executable that we can run. So we have Node Exporter up and running. It's listening to port 9100, and the IP address of the machine was 192.168.177, and this was the IP address, the port number. So we have Node Exporter up and running. We're just going to add Node Exporter into our Prometheus YAML file so that Prometheus will be scraping or pulling metrics from our app server. So I will head back to this Prometheus monitoring server. I'm going to stop Prometheus. I will open this Prometheus YAML file, and right under this Prometheus job, I'm going to add another job. Let's add another job called let's see, is it well indented? Yeah. Let's say job. Let's call it Node Exporter. Node Exporter. Static configs. Target. Our target is going to be the IP address of our app server, 192.168.1.177, colon the port number that Prometheus, Node Exporter was listening to. So that was 9100. And yeah, this will be it. We can save this configuration and yeah, restart Prometheus, but this time I'm going to run it in the background. Okay, I'm going back to our navigator. I'm going to refresh here. So we have a new target added, but it's still state is still unknown, but I'll keep refreshing until. All right, so Node Exporter as a target has been added into our Prometheus list of scraping machine. It's up, and the last scrape happened 1 second ago. So now I'm going to install Grafana. So we're going to be to have visualization, graph and chart regarding the state of our app server from the monitoring server, and that's going to be generated in real time. So let's do that. I will go to this website here, grafana.com, Grafana download. Choose the enterprise edition, it's free. My operating system is Linux Ubuntu, so I will take the Ubuntu and Debian. I'm going to first grab this line of code here and head to my monitoring machine, because that's where we're going to install it. My monitoring machine is this one, user at Wixel. Yeah, that's where we're running Prometheus. I'm going to Control X here, C. It's not going to stop Prometheus since we are running it in the background. So I will just head back to my home directory, and in here I'm going to just run sudo update apt update, and right after I'm going to put the code. Oh no, let me head back to my navigator where I'm going to take this line of code here. I'm gonna download quite a lot of libraries. Okay, so we're going to press enter and just going to grab the other line of code. This one will download Grafana itself. I don't know why it always, probably it's quite a heavy file. Okay, and then the last line of code. Now this one is taken. Yes. It's going to download Grafana, and we have to unpack it. And once everything has been unpacked, we'll have to run Grafana. I will start the server, but first let reload this daemon, enable Grafana server, and start Grafana server itself right here. Well, Grafana normally listen to port 3000. This monitoring server is IP address is what is IP address again? The monitoring server is 10 with 177. So I'm just going to look for Prometheus. Uh-oh, what's going on? This is the app server. Let's look for the monitoring server. Okay, it's 110 with 178. It's gonna open a new tab here and column the port number Grafana listening to. And this is our Grafana page. The default the default username is admin and main, and the password as well. I ask you to write a new one. Which one can I put? Let's just put something simple. Okay, submit, and we are into Grafana. The first thing we want to do here is to establish a communication between Grafana as a process to our Prometheus process running, to our Prometheus process still running on the same monitoring machine. For that, we're going to come here to the connection option. In here, you can see we have You can add a connection, and we have a lot of data sources option from Google Analytics to Amazon Aurora. I think we even have Amazon CloudWatch. Yeah, Amazon CloudWatch and Cloud Alarm. But we're looking for Prometheus. Prometheus, it's right here, and we can click here, add new data source. And right here, we're going to go to our Prometheus instance, take this HTTP URL and put it right there at the connection URL. We didn't establish or implement any authentication, no TLS, no advanced settings, so we can just save and test. Successfully create a Prometheus API, and yeah, we're good to go. The next thing will be to generate graphs and chart. We're going to do it in the dashboard. Here we can create new dashboard, but also we can import existing dashboard. If I remember well, the dashboard related to Node Exporter, as well, the one available, I think where is he at? Anyway, its ID is 1860. And if you load it here, let me just show you where you can have it. Node Exporter, yeah, Grafana dashboard, it's right here. So you can just copy this ID, come here and put it. So 1860. You're going to load it. You can modify the name, but it makes sense to keep it to Node Exporter. This will be the dashboard folder, and you have to specify what Prometheus you want to use, the default one, and you're going to import it. And yeah, this is our Node Exporter dashboard, which pulls or which render matrix pulled from Prometheus. Matrix pulled by Prometheus from our app server. You can see the CPU utilization is right now 0.6. Syslot is 0. RAM use is 12. Swap memory at 0. And root FSUs it's 17. And you have quite a number of sections that you can explore in this Grafana page, but let's first try to refresh our visualization every 5 seconds and get the last 5 scrape data. At least that it's gonna be real time. One additional thing we're going to do here is to run a web application on the application server that's just going to stress our CPU, and we're going to see the change in real time. You can find the application from my Docker repository. It's public, everybody can have access to it. So I'm going to head to my app server. I will stop Node Exporter and run it in the background as well. Okie dokie. And then let me just head back. Here I'm going to install Docker. Just install Docker here. It's gonna take a while, but we have all our time. And after installing Docker, we're going to pull a Docker image from my Docker repository and run it. Okay. Now we have Docker installed. I think we need to have a super user stand here, and we can first pull that image. This is the image. I think it's stress up column v1. Well, takes time since it's the first time to pull that image in this local app serve machine. So we're gonna come back later when it's done. All right, we are done with the pulling action. Now we just check if we have the image. Yeah, it's right here. Now I'm going to run our image as a uh, Docker container. So run. I'm gonna run in detached mode. The port number eternally was 8085, and I'm going to forward it to 8085. And this is our image. Tag is v1. Okay, I will open this web application at 8085 using the IP address of our app server. So let me just come here, the application app server IP address, it's 9192.168.177 at 8085. And this is our Strice web application. I'm just going to put it on a separate window and merge it with this one here. Okay, okay. Okay. Back to our Grafana dashboard. So right now, our CPU utilization is at 1%. I'm just going to stress our CPU, this app server machine CPU, for about 60 seconds. If I click here, you're going to see how this change will be reflected on the monitoring machine through this graph generated by Grafana. So it's probably going to take, as you can see, we move from 0 to 7%. It's even going to go higher than that. You just wait a little bit. Come on. Yeah, to 23%. It's even going to go higher because it's quite a computing a lot of numbers. Went to 40, probably gonna go to 50. Well, the bottom line is just how you can implement a simple monitoring system with Prometheus and Grafana and have a constant eye on whatever going on with your resources so that you can take up specific measures and just um, make life easy for your application, make life easier for your client. Because when you have, let's say, CPU over utilization, the application isn't performing well, and end user should definitely have a hard time. The same thing would be applied to the memory, to the disk, especially to the network traffic. So this is it. Let's try to implement a monitoring or a probing to this web application itself by using Blackbox Exporter. So you can come here. This is the website or the URL. I will link everything in the description. So I'm just going to copy Prometheus configuration, Blackbox Exporter. I will copy this job from job name all the way to replacement, and I'm going to put everything in my the Prometheus YAML file. So I think I have to head back to the Prometheus folder and open the Prometheus YAML file, and right below the node exporter job, I'm going to copy what we took uh, from this URL here from Blackbox Exporter. But before that, I we had to install Blackbox Exporter itself, and I'm first going to just go through what this script will do. Job name, Blackbox, metric path, probe. It's gonna be probing or sending constant requests to our web application. And the parameters, the module here, it's HTTP. So we are looking for HTTP 200 response every single time. And the target here, I can leave. Let me leave. Well, I can leave it, but here I can just change it to our web application, which is running. Where is it here? So this is the URL of our web application. Yep, I'm gonna copy this and put it right here. I'm just gonna get rid of that extra HTTP. Okay, now down here, when we are going to run Blackbox Exporter, we definitely going to run it on the monitoring machine, which is at 192, 168, 1 and 178, I guess. Let me just double check. Prometheus, yeah, 178. All right, and Blackbox Exporter listen to by default to 9115. That's the port. Okay, now let's go ahead and save this Prometheus YAML file. Now I'm just going to download Blackbox Exporter. Going to the Prometheus web page, looking for Blackbox Exporter. It's right here. I will copy this and head back to my home directory. So what I'm gonna do here is first sudo apt date. Ooh. Okay, and once this one is done, I'm going to download Blackbox Exporter. Okay. All right, so we have Blackbox Exporter. I'm just going to unzip it. And I will move into Blackbox Exporter itself. We have this binary that we are going to run in the background as well. Blackbox Exporter. It's running in the background. As you can see, it's listening to 9115. Cool. I'll Control C, but we have to restart. We're going to restart Prometheus in order to have the reflection of the latest configuration we just made. So I will navigate to the Prometheus folder. Not even need to do that. I'm just going to what was the process number of our Prometheus instance? If I remember well, am I gonna find it again? Let's see. It's right here. Okay, so we got the process ID. You can find it by PS or PS and Prometheus, which is right here. So you can just kill it and run it one more time just to reflect the latest changes. Now that we stopped Prometheus, let's try to run it again. Still in the background. Okay, what's going on in the background? Okay, and let's head to the navigator here in Prometheus. We're going to have three targets now. Let's just refresh it, keep refreshing it, keep refreshing it. Now we have Node Exporter as a target, we have Blackbox Exporter as a target, which is going to be probing first Node itself. And we also have Prometheus as a target. If we, one thing we can do is add a black box exporter dashboard our into our um, into our Grafana application, Grafana dashboard. And to do that, I'm just gonna close this window here. I'm going to head to dashboard, import a new one. In Grafana, ID is, a dashboard available is this one here. I will load it from, black box exporter. I'm just tired. Black box exporter ID is this one here. I will look for Prometheus and import it. So same thing, try to lower the refresh time and get last 5 minute data, data stream or metrics. So as you can see here, we are probing our web application, the one we are running through a Docker container. We can see that the status is up, HTTP code is 200. We keep getting 200 responses. HTTP version is this one. It's not secure though. But for the other one here, the Prometheus IO status, you see we have SSL in it. So just to show the instance spot of incident or of malfunction, I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop this Docker image here, and what I can do too is try to put it to merge it with this window right here. Let's see, Docker. Um, so this gonna be ugly. Let's try to extend it a little bit more. Okay, so we have this container which has been running for 13 minutes. So what I'm going to do is just stop it, or I can use, I think it's ID. Well, it's long ID. Hopefully it's the one. Okay, let me try to stop it here. So Docker stop. Okay, this image has been stopped, and I'm just going to and in no time we're gonna see that we are no longer getting 200 response from our website. You can see here status down, status code non-applicable. So just to demonstrate how um, reactive or how responsive monitoring can be with Prometheus and Grafana. And from here, you can see how to what level you can extend this approach, probably moving from monitoring one server, one machine to two server, or even get to the point where you can monitor a whole Kubernetes cluster full of a fleet of machines. And ladies and gentlemen, this is it. I hope you enjoyed it, and see you next time for more about coding, more about DevOps, and more about many other things. Ciao, ciao.